Bunch of people to the community resource fairs. Everybody had a chance to walk through?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, we got 15 or 16 different groups in there. These are all organizations up here in our community who provide resources to anybody who needs them, anybody fits. Pastor, how are you?
Right. Yeah, we're also here just to learn more in either this setting or another setting about development in our community.
Okay.
Thankful for Pastor Tom as well, being here just in terms of getting some greater clarity around what's going on in the community.
Okay.
And there's a general sense that we have been talking about where we feel like we're left out of this process, we're left out of the conversations. Even on, I was sharing with Pastor Tom, even on the maps of the community, as you're touting at the York Road Partnership and other meetings, you're touting the great things about this community. Not one faith institution is nowhere on it. And
it's on what?
On the maps. Maps that tout Belvedere Square, that tout.
I'm not sure what maps you're talking about.
Okay, I'll just show them to you.
Okay.
But that's just an example of a greater sense of not feeling like we're at the table.
Are we talking about zoning maps? I'm not sure.
Community promotional maps.
Community promotional maps. So
maps promote the community.
Who is making these maps?
I don't want to make the issue maps. The issue is not the map.
Okay. Well,
the issue is
what I want to stress is that if the community was producing a map of the area, I'm sure that the community would put all sorts of community stakeholders on it, including the faith institutions. If government is doing a map, then it would have everybody on the map. If somebody is putting together a map that has this area and does not have any of the faith institutions on it, then I would want that brought to my attention because I'm not aware of it. Okay. So that's why I appreciate you telling me.
Okay, so we'll share the map issue. But larger than the map, it's the issue of feeling like we are not a part of what's going on in the future of this community. And feeling like there are discussions that are happening, there are agreements being made, and we're absent from that. And we, just like anybody else, deserve a seat at these tables.
Okay.
And we, just like anybody else, should have equal say in what's going on in the development of this community as well. That includes the land that we talked about, right, as we are the adjacent owners of that property. We've been haggling with the city for a year and a half, going on 2 years. It's our trustee Payton has also been involved, trustee Cunningham and others have also been, Deacon Sanders, our chairman, also been involved in that. It includes that in terms of extending our ministry. And when I say ministry, we're not talking bricks and mortar, we're talking about the garden.
Okay.
And but bigger than that, that development issues should not be going on in this community without these residents and our institutions being a part of the conversation as well.
Well, I don't know how many of you were there, but when we kicked off the York Belvedere small area master planning process, we did it at your church. You hosted. And I thank you then, I thank you again for hosting that conversation. We had subsequent meetings here. They all were open to the public. I was actually, frankly, disappointed by both the total public participation and, to some extent, the participation of the private sector in terms of putting forth development ideas, because it had been my hope to get the people who own big chunks of property in the area to come out and say, these are the things that I would like to do with my property over the coming years. Let's get it all out onto the table now so we can work it out, especially because at that point we knew that comprehensive rezoning was coming. And if we could get something nailed down, we could actually try to get the comprehensive rezoning to fit what we had all agreed on would be what was going to happen up here. Truth of the matter is, we didn't get very much of that out of that process. Most of the process ended up focusing on things like transportation, traffic patterns, The Belvedere Improvement Association was very involved in asking for changes, like we've got this real traffic light now right up here at York and Orkney to make it easier for pedestrians to cross. And we're talking about trying to make the intersection of Northern Parkway and York Road more pedestrian friendly. But that was most of the stuff that came out of the small area master plan. There are not, to the best of my knowledge, I shouldn't say that. There may be comprehensive conversations going on about development in this area with lots of people, who represent different entities, but they don't have me there either. So I'm not going to be the best person to try to get you a seat at that table. If people who own property want to sit around and talk to other people who own property about what they should do, this is America. There's nothing I can do about that. When people come to me about their property, like you did, I came and sat down with you. You wanted to talk about the church, and you wanted to talk about the property next to it. And we did. And I had that conversation with you. If the people who own Belvedere Square want to sit down with me and talk about Belvedere Square, I'll sit down and talk with them. Did I tell you you needed to invite the owner of Jerry's to the meeting we had? Did I?
No, but
Right.
that's not the issue.
No, but
we're not trying to argue.
Actually,
we're having conversations.
I gave you a whole...
But we're not arguing. But no, we want to make sure that we stay on the point, though.
Okay, well then what's the point?
So the point is that you have knowledge as people come and talk to you, and the point, at least from my vantage point, is we deserve to be a part of those conversations, and we deserve the information. I feel like there's a greater readiness to share information, and there's stuff going on when you're dropping hints about our church, looking at other places and going to other places, and a footprint behind Pleasant Hope where they possibly build a parking garage or some other things like that. You have that information. And so I'm not one to believe that as a city councilman that you don't have that data, you don't know these conversations are going on. And all we're saying is, as a church that's been here 80 years in this community, we have a right to be a part of that conversation. And if there's information that you have, then we need to be a part of, in terms of helping to craft together the future of this community.
Okay.
Could I ask a question before you finish?
Sure.
What is the current status of the comprehensive rezoning for you?
It has not even been introduced yet. The legislative reference was in a meeting on Friday that went all day. I think it's their intention to try to introduce a bill sometime this fall. The sooner the better for everybody involved, because it's going to take a long time to get it passed. But as of right now, it hasn't even officially been introduced. But here's where I walk a very delicate line. If you ask me to sit down with you, if you and the leaders of the church asked me to sit down and you said, we have some plans for our church that we would like to talk over with you, but we are not ready yet to share them outside the church, would you want me to respect that?